It was that time of year once again. It was time to attend my hometown con in Chicago, Anime Central 2017. 2017 marked the 20th anniversary of Anime Central. ACEN has grown tremendously over its 20-year history. As of last year, ACEN was ranked as the third largest anime convention in North America, behind Anime Expo and A-Kon at over 31,000 attendees. ACEN had a lot of hype surrounding it for their 20th year celebration. Was 2017 a 20th anniversary worth remembering? Anime Central is a large 3-day convention held once again at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare and Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, Illinois. This location has been, and always will, be an incredible location for ACEN. Both venues held this convention unbelievably well despite ACEN's large 30,000 plus attendance. I've always loved the layout of the Stevens Convention Center. It was big, spacious, and is more than capable of holding this convention for a very long time, as only about half of the entire venue was used for this event. The parking rates will vary depending on where you park in the area, so be sure to read ahead before heading out to this convention. Also, the lots can get full very quickly, something to keep in mind if you are commuting to this con. There were multiple food options around this area, including the concession stands, restaurants all over Rosemont, the food court in the Fashion Outlets Mall, as well as all of the food trucks parked by the Hyatt. This location was also incredible for photo shoots. There were multiple photo shoot locations scattered all throughout the entire convention. For the most part, ACEN's lighting was very good for photos. It's without a doubt that photographers and videographers will have a lot to love about ACEN. Registration at ACEN went very well for such a big event. I hardly saw any sort of long lines on Thursday, and the lines were very reasonable for the rest of the weekend. Anime Central once again utilized the Guidebook App, and like last year, the app worked very well in keeping an organized schedule. I never once experienced any sudden changes in times or locations for any of the panels, and I also never ran into any late panels at the convention. But I can only go based on my experience, and I did hear from others that there were small issues here and there with the con scheduling and organization. One of the biggest selling points for Anime Central was their massive dealers hall. It's by far the largest dealers hall out of all of the anime conventions in the Midwest. No question here. The amount of dealers ACEN offered rivaled that of larger comic conventions such as C2E2. ACEN's dealers hall truly had it all, and you can actually spend your whole ACEN experience in the dealers hall alone. I also wanted to mention that the dealers hall expanded more into the convention center this year. The Artist Alley moved into its own section of the room, which freed up space for more dealers, and they also had space for additional photo shoots as well as events. They also had an alternate entrance to the dealers hall through the Artist Alley, which was really nice, especially when the main entrance got really packed at some points. ACEN took a dealers hall that was already massive to begin with and made it even more massive in 2017. As many people may know, ACEN is home to a myriad of events for the whole weekend. There were so many events happening at ACEN that you really need to plan out your schedule before heading out to this event. One new addition to ACEN this year were the voice acting auditions from Bang Zoom Entertainment. This is an event where those who are aspiring to become a voice actor could have a chance to put their skills to the test in front of the most well-known dubbing studios in the industry. That was a fantastic new addition for ACEN. They normally have these auditions at Anime Expo, and it's awesome that those living in the Midwest don't need to fly all the way to LA to show off their voice acting skills. Anime Central had a great lineup of guests, but I do want to mention the amount of international guests they pulled to this convention. ACEN is one of very few cons around this area to pull these kinds of guests, from Japanese voice actors to directors, as well as singers, and also several DJs. But when it came to American voice actors, I felt that ACEN took the safe route this year with their lineup. A majority of their American voice actor lineup were guests we have seen from 2014 and 2015. It was not a bad lineup by any means, but I felt that ACEN hardly stepped up in this area. It didn't feel like a 20th anniversary guest lineup. Perhaps for next year, ASEN could pull more new American voice actors to their convention, especially those we don't see very often around this area. ASEN handled their autograph sessions very well for such a big event. Their autograph sessions were first come, first served, and you can get 1 to 2 items signed with a possible photo with the guest. They enforced a rule where a line does not start until 30 minutes before the session. This autograph policy worked very well for a majority of the guests. But when it came to the high-profile guests such as Crispin Freeman, this was where the trouble started. The crowding prior to the 30-minute mark got so intense that it felt like a stampede when trying to get into the line. This was where I felt getting into the session was more of a game of luck rather than being first come first serve. Some may disagree, but I felt that for high-profile guests, ASEN should start enforcing a ticketing system to get into these lines or make the sessions longer. They should be more aware about the popularity of each of the guests they invite so that they can be well prepared for these types of situations. Regardless of this issue, the ASEN staff did an excellent job with autograph handling, and that is really saying a lot for such a big con. ASEN really stepped their game up with their video game room in 2017, no pun intended. Last year, the video game room was in the basement of the Hyatt. Due to the limited amount of space, it was very difficult to expand the game room in that small area. This year, the video game room moved to the second floor of the convention center, and it was a massive leap over their previous year. Now in a larger ballroom, ASEN was able to expand their game room to a point that now I can say that it was one of the best game rooms I have experienced at cons this year. They had a much wider selection of console gaming, an incredible arcade gaming setup, and I also love the large stages and projection screens that they use for tournaments. Back then, ASEN's video game room was comparable to mid-sized cons, but for this year, the game room truly reflected the size of ASEN. And finally, an ASEN experience is not complete without attending their incredible Synergy and Soap Bubble raves. If you were to ask me which con offered the best rave experience, then ASEN would win, hands down. Anime Central has been well known to host one of the most spectacular raves in the Midwest, and it's no different in 2017. Synergy Friday Night was a fantastic event with incredible music and use of lighting. The amount of energy from the performers and the crowd was so crazy, it's ridiculous. But it only got even more intense during Soap Bubble. This was by far the biggest and best rave I have ever experienced out of all of the cons I have attended so far. Everything from the lighting, the music, and the high adrenaline from the DJs and the crowd were spectacular. If you love to rave it up at conventions, you do not want to miss Synergy and Soap Bubble. So bring your dancing shoes and get ready for ASEN to bring the house down all night long. Anime Central is one of the most well-established conventions in the Midwest, but in 2017, they proved that there was always room for this big con to grow, and I truly felt they succeeded in this for their 20th year anniversary. ASEN boasted a massive dealer's hall with so much more merchandise than you can afford, tons of different events to keep you busy for the weekend, a bigger and better video game room, their signature Synergy and Soap Bubble raves, a great lineup of international guests, as well as the newly added voice acting auditions from Bang Zoom, and ASEN would not be as amazing without their hardworking staff. As for ways to improve, I felt that ASEN should work on inviting more American voice actors to the convention. When you consider that even mid-sized cons invited much more of these types of guests than what ASEN offered, you know that there's plenty of room for improvement in this area. And I also felt the con should work on handling the crowd controlling for the autograph sessions of high-profile guests. While the ASEN staff did a great job handling the lines overall, the crowding for some of the sessions got so intense that they need to lay down some policies in these types of situations. ASEN is a large-sized convention, and I felt that there's no limit with the amount of time it takes to get to this con. In short, I recommend ASEN to everyone. ASEN was a con that offered something for all audiences. It's without a doubt that ASEN is the premier anime con for all anime fans in the Midwest. If you ever have the chance to head out to ASEN, then get ready for an incredible experience. I give Anime Central 2017 a 9 out of 10. The highest scoring con I reviewed so far, and the first con to shine bright in 2017. Thank you all for watching my review of ASEN in 2017. If you like what you see here, subscribe to the PNV today for more con coverage, cosplay music videos, and more. Until then, I will see you at the next con.